Beaming out across the galaxy, this is where conspiracy on the wild side meets the perspective of a lifetime. This is the Free Zone with your host, Freeman.
Well, hello, all you wonderful people out there. Thank you for tuning in to the Free Zone. We are coming to you live here from Greenville, South Carolina. And we are about to bring you some highlights, insights, and understandings that you won't get anywhere else. This is the heart of the friendship agenda. We are, and that means you and I, are the future of friendship on this planet. And this is where this show comes from, and this is where we will always stand, and we will continue to bring you amazing insights and hopefully inspiration to start to change our lives for the better, because Lord knows we need it. So tonight, we want to think about celebrities. Imagine the power these celebrities have. It's amazing when someone like Prince comes out and announces that his friends are all going crazy due to chemtrails. And next thing you know, everybody's talking about it. And if we had this power, if we had the power of celebridom, something that we hopefully will reach in some near future, and I know a lot of you think that we're already there, but we are trying. We are trying to bring the knowledge out to the forefront, out to the masses, and that's really where it's critical. You know, we've talked to the choir, and the choir is strong, and we are so proud of everyone that has been a part of this show for all these years. But imagine if we had the power that celebrities do. Imagine if we could get out there and have people actually listen. It really only takes a celebrity to say one thing. There's many levels to this. There's many ways to look at it. There are other celebrities out there that are in the truther movement that have been pushed to the forefront so that they can spread the message of what's going on. And this is what we would like to do. On that same note, if we could rescue and release these stars, the celebrities under their trauma-based mind control, and bring them forward, have them openly speak out, we could absolutely shift the culture of our society. They have that much influence. It's an amazing power, this celebridom. It is our goal now to reach out to many of these celebrities, and we are. We have reached a number of them already, and we want to bring them forward. But they're frightened, you know? They're going to lose everything by doing this. And so it requires this sense of safety, this place for them to land, this understanding that the world is on their side. So tonight, we're going to talk with Jamie.
Hi, everybody.
And we're going to share some of the thoughts and ideas on celebrity trauma-based mind control, the ideas of possible Illuminati murder, star whackers, you know it. We're going to take it all. And I hope you'll all join in the chat room, freemantv.com, listen live. Come over to the chat room. We'll be checking in there all night long, see what you're about. If you're there on Google+, feel free to come over to freemantv.com and join in with all the chatters there. There's quite a few. It's been a wild ride here getting this this thing up and going, as you all know. So I hope you all will continue to tune in and continue to subscribe. And we are going to be bringing you all kinds of amazing stuff. That is our promise to you. So we do need your subscriptions. We need your support. We need you sharing these topics out there so that we can reach more. And on top of that, we need you to reach out to our guests and make sure they know you're out there. I know Kathy O'Brien was absolutely excited at all the response she got from you guys after being on this show. And if each guest knows that they're going to get that kind of attention, we can start getting some really big names here. We can really start to push the envelope. It's all up to you. So let's open this door. Let's release the stars. Let's understand celebrity mind control rehab. Welcome to the show, Jamie.
Hi. Well, I kind of wanted to start off talking a little bit about Robin Williams and how sad this was and how this affects the cultural psyche, because we learn a lot from our comedians, right? You have Bill Hicks, who's a major player in the conspiracy realms. You have George Carlin, who tried to bring truth out. You have
Here, we can really start.
Dave Chappelle. And we see in their life that it's not a very fun thing to be a comedian sometimes, and it seems like the saddest people are the ones who are coming out trying to make us laugh. And it kind of reminds me of this old joke where this guy goes to the doctor and he says, "I'm very depressed, doctor. Nothing seems to make me happy anymore." And the doctor said, "Well, I think you should just go and see the clown that's come to town." And the patient says, "But doctor, I am the clown."
Yeah, what are you going to do when you are that person that is there to carry the others and then you're sad? And yeah, absolutely, Robin was one of those people that carried us forward. You think about George Carlin, Bill Hicks, Louis C.K., you know, the list, Dave Chappelle, the list goes on of these very depressed comedians. And really, that's where comedy comes from. I highly recommend you read Stranger in a Strange Land for more understanding on where laughter actually comes from. It comes from our sorrow. It comes from our sadness. And this is why when you look to most of our comedians, they are absolutely the most depressed people out there.
Well, what I noticed in our field is right when Robin Williams died, it seemed like everybody was scrambling to get up their little video or their explanation about what happened. And this kind of irks me because it takes weeks or months for all the details to come out when something big like this happens. And they just throw it up there like Robin Williams was murdered by the Illuminati. And it almost seems like they're being a little ghoulish, you know, jumping right on the death to get those YouTube hits. You know, they get 1 million just because they title it correctly, and we're kind of sitting back waiting for all the facts to roll in because, you know, our opinions aren't rock solid. They change with new information, just like everybody else's opinions should evolve with new information. So you can't just know right off the bat. And we want to come at this with love, because this is the only thing that's going to help these people, because I guarantee you they're not having any fun with all their money and all their fame and all their accolades. They're still, it seems, very depressed, very empty, very hollow, and probably because of all the things that they've witnessed and they've had to go through to get to the level of fame that they're at right now.
Well, we are going to be talking with David McGowan next week about satanic ritual murder celebrities. That's going to be very good. And I'm working on getting Professor Griff to discuss some of the heinous trauma that you have to go through to bring to get yourself onto the stage, to get yourself onto the silver screen. When we start to look at a lot of these people, like Corey Feldman, are you ready to go there?
Sure. So Corey Feldman is one person that I put in the allies list because there are certain people who are, you know, taking the plunge. They're not afraid. They're speaking out. They're doing the best they can with the information and the way they are in the world. And the first person I had on my list that we could talk about that was Russell Brand.
Oh yeah, Russell. Now there is one that is so divided. Oh my God. I mean, Russell did an awesome job bashing Hannity on the whole Israel-Gaza situation. It was epic. I love the guy. And I know that when I say I love Russell Brand, that all of a sudden people are just ripping their hair out, throwing books across the room or whatever might be handy for them to get frustrated with. But it's true. You know, you can't immediately jump and say, oh, this guy's a shill. Just because what he has, just because he's on the, you know, it's the double-edged sword of celebrity, because there he is trying to get things out to the public in a humorous way, and at the same time he's having to deal with all of us, or all the truthers, and saying, oh, he's a shill. He's just getting things in the, just trying to ride this wave and try to steal our, whatever. And I mean, I have really enjoyed what Russell is doing with the truths, and I really enjoy him himself. He's got so much wit and intelligence that, you just, I gotta love the guy, because he's out there, he's stirring it, he's stirring the pot, he's getting on the news and calling them out. But yet, if I come out and say that I like Russell Brand, like I just did, I'll get attacked. I'll be called and labeled a shill.
Yeah, and it's really very sad what happens to these people, because they're, Hollywood is a pit of vipers. And even if the Illuminati didn't kill Robin Williams directly, their toxic environment that they created is what ultimately did him in the end. And this is the type of art and things that are coming through, trickling down to us. They're abused in their life, and they put it into their art, and then we consume it, and it's more abuse.
Right. Now, did you guys see the article I put up on Freeman TV and the video I put out last week with Rob Skiba? This image. I mean, I'll have to do another video to really show you this, but the way that Robin Williams died was sitting in a chair with a belt strapped around his neck, wedged into the door frame. And this exact scene, written by another depressed comic, Bob Goldthwait, was aired in 2009, and it is the exact way Robin Williams died. So now we've got these people battling back and forth, saying it was Illuminati murder, or you're a bunch of kooks and cranks, and really both of them are most likely wrong. This is probably a horrible accident.
So we wanted to come at it with love, because I see a lot of truthers bashing celebrities and, calling them Babylonian bimbos on booze, or, I'm not that talented as that guy, who I'm talking about. But it just seems like they have no compassion for what they've actually witnessed. And I love art. I love all types of artistic expression, song, dance, painting, comedy, whatever. And it breaks my heart to see what these artists are capable of, and what their talent is actually used for by these, evil overlords. Just look at poor Miley Cyrus. If you Google her backyard sessions, she looks like a lady, and she's singing in the beauty of nature, and she's singing, wonderful. She sounds great, and fully dressed, and not writing on penises, right? And so she's capable of this beauty. If you, Google Katy Perry's song she did on American Music Awards called Unconditionally. I mean, I just thought that was beautiful, and I thought it just breaks my heart when I see them used for softcore pornography when they're capable of so much better.
There's no doubt about it, and that brings you right back to Corey Feldman and Corey Haim, and we desperately want to get Corey Feldman on this show. It's a difficult thing to do, to get to these celebrities. Of course they have handlers, and of course they're not going to let just anyone, but thank God Dan Fogler is out there, and is also making us some connections with this Hollywood crowd. And of course the film Don Peyote that he brought forward to bring this very stuff to the masses. But Corey Feldman, I mean, the things that he describes that he went through, why don't you get in a little bit about Corey and Corey? Because you had mentioned softcore porn, and yeah. Seriously, those two boys coming up. Now, have you ever seen The Goonies? I'm pretty sure most of you have. But did you ever notice that in The Goonies, when they are searching for this pirate's treasure, they never once call it pirate's treasure. Not once. No, what they call it is One-Eyed Willie's rich stuff. All right.
Yeah. And the first joke in the movie was where they broke the statue of Michelangelo's David, with the penis hanging out, and then they had to glue the penis back on, but they glued it erect instead, and so that was in the very opening scenes of the movie.
Right.
So you kind of know, if you know that you know what they're talking about.
Yes, because there really can be no other meaning to One-Eyed Willie's rich stuff. And if you don't know what we're talking about, I'm sorry. I don't think I want to get into too much description, but we're talking about semen here. We're talking about pedophilia, molestation of children. We're talking about it being part of the culture, being part of the storyline that they have to produce. We have another good friend that was on The Young and the Restless, and I'll be working with him some more too. He's doing a show on homelessness. And he quit. He quit The Young and the Restless because they kept wanting to make his character more and more dark. And he was loved. He was one of the most loved characters on that show. And then they wanted him to play a character that was pretending to be homosexual. And this just threw him over the edge. And he refused to be in this, richly paying gig any longer due to his own moral standards. And this is where we want to reach, is their moral standards. But Corey Feldman... And Corey Haim, he went down.
Well, Corey Feldman quotes in his book, he said, there is one person to blame for Corey Haim's death, and that person happens to be a Hollywood mogul. Now, he won't come out and name exactly who it is, but it could be Steven Spielberg, it could be anybody.
Yeah.
It's probably all of them.
It probably is, and there is a lot of evidence out there about Steven Spielberg and his boys.
Right. Yeah, I think Jay Weidner does a good talk on how he always features prepubescent boys in his movies.
Yeah.
So I wanted to talk a little bit about our relationship with celebrities because I don't see a lot of compassion going on for them, and I think this is engineered for us to hate them because, as you walk down your grocery aisle and you check out on food stamps, and then you see on the magazine someone just had a $20 million wedding and the marriage only lasted 45 days, you're kind of going like, come on, you guys. And so you have this envy, and so this is something that we have to get rid of. And even in the truther movement, we have to have compassion for these people. And it's interesting because as I traveled around the country in our school bus in 2012, I would often hear the same phrase repeated over and over, and this would come from 11-year-olds to 60-year-olds, and the phrase was, "I love Lady Gaga."
That's true. And they all say it with the exact same cadence.
Yeah, the inflection and the cadence was the same every time, as if it was instantly downloaded, to everyone's brain at one time. And today's popular culture, it creates an interesting relationship between us and our entertainers. They help us escape our boredom, they show us new worlds, they make us use our imagination. They're there for us at different milestones in our lives. We play their music at our weddings, at our funerals, at our parties, at our happy times. And what person wouldn't want to meet their favorite musician and thank them for feeling the same feelings they felt and putting it on in poetry and music so you can have this catharsis of healing, right?
Right.
And so on the other hand, we scrutinize them and judge them and we build them up and they tear them down and they put them all over the magazines and say, look at this person's arm fat or, worst booty on the beach. This is a trauma-based mind control extended to them, and the paparazzi is straight CIA stalking them and making them paranoid.
Yeah, we'll be getting to some of that with David McGowan next week and the ideas of where the National Enquirer came from and how this all relates to this
right.
trauma.
So their slavery, and their demoralization, it should upset us, and the audience is part of the problem. And I think if you really loved your idols, you wouldn't just take from them. You wouldn't pay to watch them debase themselves and spit it back in their face like a lot of truthers do. You wouldn't use their trauma-based mind control spectacle to further your career in the independent media and have your video up the very next day after someone died with the proper tag words and not tell anything about the truth. You know what I'm talking about.
I do know what you're talking about.
You would want to see them free from their prison so we can all see the artwork lifted up. We can see our entertainment, our music, our movies. I mean, people are so talented. Human beings are so beautiful, and they just have this varied expressions of talent, from painting, from singing, dancing, juggling, anything. I love it all. But I hate to see this satanic ritual abuse trickle down through them to us.
And it does.
And I want to know, you guys, if you had lived through the Civil War, when everybody was divided on slavery, would you have been pro or against it, or just hang back and let other people take care of it for you? Or would you have had the courage to, be part of an underground railroad helping other people? If you lived through World War II, would you hide Jews in your house because you knew it was the right thing to do, even though you knew that you might get shot if you did? So right now we have this incredible opportunity to help end slavery, and I think celebrities is a huge part of this. And if we could get them on board, then it's like the dominoes. They're the first domino in the pile. And if you can get them to start coming forward, then people will listen.
Well, as studies have shown, it's the follower that is the most important, and that is us. Those who will take their first step and carry it forward. So, the leader comes in and starts doing the goofball dancing, but it's the follower who makes it okay for everyone else to do the goofy dance as well. And that's all of us. And that's where we want to come in with the future of friendship. I want to mention that we do have friendshipagenda.com. And this is our own social network site for all of us to come and meet and share, because we hear all the time that people have no one to speak to about this stuff. And we wanted to make a place where people could come where they knew everyone was on the same level. And friendshipagenda.com is that place. So to reinfuse the excitement, we are starting Friendship Wednesdays, where all of you guys, I know many of you out there listening right now are Friends of Freeman members. Why don't you show up with us anytime during Wednesdays, and we'll all hang out together, and we'll re-imbibe all that situation there and be able to share all of this. So Friendship Wednesdays, keep a lookout for it. I'll have it up there on freemantv.com very soon. And it's true, I had the exact same thing as I was suffering through the Anna Nicole story, and what I got out of most of the people around me was, I'm glad that slut is dead. And this is what people would say to me when my heart was broken, not over Anna Nicole, but over the entire situation. This goes back to Marilyn Monroe.
Right, so got to thinking about Robin Williams, and was he star-whacked or not? Now, Dennis Quaid came out and said that there is absolutely Hollywood murders going on. Certain people are targeted for speaking out, and they're star-whacked. And like you said, Marilyn Monroe was like one of the first poster children for this, and she's also a poster child for the whole Monarch mind control program. You see her face everywhere, and this has to do with triggering the new slaves to keep them disassociated when they see Marilyn's face almost everywhere they go.
How many of them have impersonated Marilyn?
Exactly. I mean, even Megan Fox had a Marilyn Monroe tattoo that she had to get removed because she said it was haunted.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and so I put her on the list of star-whacked people because, she had the connections with the psychiatrist controlling her life. Her house was full of mirrors. She had no friends. She was isolated. They didn't let her have a social life of her own. She was actually trying to get out of the Hollywood scene at the time of her death, and now new evidence is always coming out about this, and I read a good book about it, and you can read about this in Weird Stuff Part 2, but it actually said that there's no way she could have killed herself because the amount of drugs she had in her system at her time of death, her body wouldn't have taken that. She would have vomited or called for help or something. It said the only way that you could get that amount of drugs in her was anally, forcing her to have it anally, and she was found face down naked on the bed.
Well, that makes me think now of Whitney Houston.
That's
Now,
right.
many people with the Whitney Houston story, and we'll get a little bit into old Clive's party and whatnot, but what most people did not notice with Whitney Houston's death was that her daughter drowned in that same bathtub the night before. So her daughter had gone into that very same bathtub Whitney died in the night before on some sort of drugs, probably these, same things that Michael Jackson used to drink to go to sleep.
His bottle?
His milk,
Yeah.
as you would call it. And her daughter drowned in that bathtub. They rushed her to the hospital, revived her, kept her, I believe, overnight, brought her back to find her mother, Whitney Houston, drowned in the exact same way in the exact same bathtub. And then at that point, she was rushed off to an institution, the daughter was. And then Whitney Houston's body was left on the 4th floor, I believe it was, above the party.
Grammy party.
Yeah.
By Clive Davis, who actually instructed them not to take the body out of the hotel until the party was over.
Right. So then you had this party that was half broken. Half of them were there crying over Whitney's death, and the other half were just partying along as if nothing had occurred. And yet there was Whitney's body, which could have been removed in plenty of time before the party, because she died early in the morning. And yet they kept it there. So this does bring up the idea of this Illuminati satanic murder ritual. Mm-hmm. And are they sucking in energies? Is there some sort of magical propriety to this?
I think so. Just look at John Lennon. You know, he was murdered in front of the Dakota Building, which is where Rosemary's Baby was filmed, which was directed by Roman Polanski, who had his pregnant wife murdered by Charles Manson. So just look at all the threads you can follow in that story, and also the evidence of Mark David Chapman being MK Ultra.
Now, let's also realize that at that moment, John Lennon was about to come out with a breakout album that was going to really reach the masses with his message of peace and love. And what the story is, and I got this from Jack Blood, was that he was then held up in a hotel room by Yoko Ono, who and John had gotten himself clean. He was clean from all the heroin. He was clean from everything, and he was going to come out with an album that would change the world. And that is possible. That's the thing. That's what we're talking about here, is the power of celebrity. And he could have made some serious changes to our reality, but Yoko Ono kept him in that hotel room and doped him up, staring at his left toe, and then rewrote all the music that John Lennon was going to release, and took control of John after re-drugging him.
There's a quote in Weird Stuff Part 2 in my article called Monarch, Zombies, and Rock and Roll about how Yoko Ono had John Lennon mixed up in witchcraft and how they reportedly did sacrifices for power in the industry.
And they do this a lot. Jim Morrison had one as well that showed up. Yeah, the witch that followed Jim Morrison. You can see that in the Doors movie, or just read the Doors story. Well, we're going to share with you tonight another one of our friends. We like to put a little musical breaks in here so that everyone can just sit back, go use the restroom, get a drink, do whatever you need to do. So this is from our good friends.
End of the World.
End of the World. Oh, yeah. And here we go.
Never think that it's my bills. Don't wake me up, just hold me down. Everything outside is my find a way to see the sun the way it's meant to be. And I've had myself for so damn long. There's nothing left to say. So wake me up, just hold me down. Everything is in progress. Don't wake me up, just hold me down. Everything is in
And welcome back to the Free Zone. And thank you all for being here and for being my great friends and for joining us here every Saturday night at 8 p.m. This is all about getting you gathered here together. I'm glad you're all there in the chat room. Great numbers in there. I'm sure everybody, they're just chatting away. A lot of talk about Sharon Osbourne in the chat room there, saying that she seems to be Ozzy's handler. And, you know, that would make a lot of sense as well.
You know, I actually heard that doctors are studying Ozzy Osbourne because they have no idea how he could have consumed so many drugs and still be alive.
He really can belt it out, you know. He looks like a zombie on stage, and then he just belts out there.
But getting back to our list of possible people who've been star-whacked, you know, you've got the whole Bruce Lee, Brandon Lee deaths, which were both kind of shrouded in mystery. You know, Bruce Lee, after having a meeting with a producer, he lay down for a nap and never woke up.
Yeah, and they believed in the Lee curse.
Mm-hmm.
But if you realize that Bruce Lee had come up with a great concept with bringing out the TV series Kung Fu. And he wanted to teach people the art of fighting without fighting, if I could do my bad Bruce Lee. And instead, they stole his story and gave it to none other than David Carradine. And Carradine actually was on acid the entire time they were filming these Kung Fu episodes. But David Carradine just happens to be another star that died by autoerotic asphyxiation.
Yeah, I really recommend, if you're interested, to go look up the history of Kung Fu, because I found it really fascinating how it was just invented because they were these group of peaceful people who wanted to live in peace and nature and nonviolence, but they kept on getting attacked. And so they had to figure out a way to defend themselves without doing as much harm as they could.
Right.
And then you've got Brandon Lee, his son. That movie The Crow is rife with symbolism, and he was shot right on set with a gun that was supposed to have fake bullets, but it had real bullets.
Yeah. Or one of the metal discharged out.
Right.
But definitely you get to basically witness his death there on the screen.
Right.
And that's somewhere where we're at now with the whole ideas of, this brings me just to Ferguson real quick, and that I happened to get to watch a snuff film in Ferguson as police officers shot dead this man who was guarding his stolen power drinks.
That was the weirdest story ever. He calls his friends on the phone and he says...
This was actually St. Louis, just to be clear.
Right, and he says, come down, I'm going to do something. So he walks into the Quickie Mart, and he takes 2 energy drinks, and he walks out, and he sets them down on the curb. He says, now call the cops, tell them to come get me. And he's just walking up and down the road right next to his 2 sodas. Or drink, I don't know what they were.
They were rock star, I think.
Yeah. And the cops pull up, and he, just walks right up to him, and he says, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Shoot me, shoot me. And they shot him right there 6 times in the chest, right in front of everybody filming and everything.
And I had to watch that. I have never witnessed a death in that way. I've never witnessed so much death in my life than I have in the last couple of weeks, due to the Gaza baby death pictures I have to look at all the time, the ISIS seeming beheadings. I say seeming because immediately the internet sleuths are out there showing how this was faked and that was faked, and honestly, we're such in a wag the dog situation that we can't tell what's going on. And if you're trying to pick sides, you are doomed.
At least wait till all the information comes out. You can't know the next day how someone died. That's my point.
Right.
But getting back to the possible star-whacked victims, you've got lots of hip-hop artists I can think of off the top of my head. You've got Lisa Left Eye from TLC, and you've got Aaliyah, who was supposed to have been sacrificed by her peers for their furtherance in the industry. Just Google hip-hop sacrifices. You can find tons of videos that, almost irrefutably prove that these people were sacrificially murdered by their friends, so quote-unquote, so their friends could make it in the business.
Right.
Then you've got, Amy Winehouse. She died recently, and she was part of the 27 Club. Now, that's an interesting story all in itself. You've got, Jim Morrison, Janis Joplin, Jimi Hendrix, and even the new pop star Lana Del Rey. She says she wants to join and died by the time she's 27.
Hey, you wonder why. I mean, I understand the 27 Club because this is the concept that you begin to break your trauma-based mind control programming at around 27 to 30. And they certainly don't want them coming forward to tell us what's going on. And this is one of the biggest problems. This is why Jamie and I are going to go out and meet with Kathy O'Brien to start to work on a definitive deprogramming study and also to push this out into the media stream. Because Kathy O'Brien was a congressional hearing member on trauma-based mind control and MK Ultra, because she was a whistleblower that came forward showing that Dick Cheney, Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, Ronald Reagan, and Anton LaVey, or was it? No, it was the other one, in Temple of Set, had all raped her. Aquino had all raped her, repeatedly, and put her through satanic ritual abuse, and had brought her to this altered state. We're going to work hand in hand with her to bring this out, to bring it to the celebrities, because when they try to come forward, as you were just saying, Jamie, it falls apart. And now they're claiming they want to go ahead and die at 27. And they need to be able to well, let's talk about how celebrities aren't really allowed to associate with the common folk.
Right. Well, it's true, and like I said, Hollywood is just filled with nasty people. And all of the people working in that business are toxic, and they're toxic to each other, and they're ruining the art. And another person I was thinking of was Heath Ledger. Now, he died while making that movie, The Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus, which has a lot of symbolism in it, and his roles had to even be filled by Johnny Depp and who's that Irish guy?
Ewan McGregor.
Colin Farrell.
All right.
Even made an appearance as the character. And he was one of those who was pumped full of prescription drugs. And the weird thing about that was when the person who found him, the first person she called was not the police, it was Mary-Kate Olsen.
Now, there's a lot of weird stuff like that. Now, Heath Ledger was obsessed with his bloodline as well. He was certain he was connected to all these royalty. He was an elite bloodline. That you are so right. I forgot about that. They called Kate Olsen. I mean, the Olsen twins. Now, here's a poster childs of Hollywood mind control, Hollywood trauma. Those two. But in the same instance, when well, let's see. When Michael Jackson died, the doctor there didn't seem to know how to administer CPR and was trying to do it on the top of the bed, which, any doctor should know you can't do it on a cushy surface like that.
Right.
And there was another strange call after a death. I'll have to work on that one because you just sparked my memory on that as I was doing these studies before. Who did they call? They didn't call the police either. Oh, was it Anna Nicole? Maybe it's just that it's so familiar to me that I can't put that together. But when Anna Nicole died, they did not call the doctor. The nurse ran and called the security guard, who was her husband. Like, who are they getting to rescue these people?
I'm sure they have protocols to follow if something like this happens. You don't want to get the law involved until you clean up the crime scene.
So you call Kate Olsen?
Blows my mind.
All right.
Another one I had thought of was Brittany Murphy. She died just unexpectedly in the shower, and then they wouldn't give her an autopsy. Her dad had to pay for the autopsy, and it came back that she might have been poisoned with rat poison. Now, the weirder thing about her death was her husband dropped dead 5 months later. And you can go look up, I think it was like Vigilant Citizen maybe. He had some pictures that she had posed, Brittany Murphy had posed in with like skulls and Illuminati masks and all monarch symbolism in her photos right before she died.
Oh, when we started, this stuff was pretty much in the closet. Back when we were trying to cover Britney and Hannah Montana. And now it's just so out in the forefront. It's bizarre. It's bizarre to watch. But you look like you had something you were about to say, so I don't want to interrupt.
Oh, well, yeah. Another one I was thinking of was Philip Seymour Hoffman, who had a mysterious death. And they said, well, the police report said that he had 49 bags of heroin.
What would you need with 49 bags of heroin?
And another police report said he had 70 bags of heroin. So it's kind of like, that's like smuggling, quantities of heroin. That's not a user's quantity. No. And then there's some other reports that saying maybe he was killed for his role in a movie called The Master, where he played a L. Ron Hubbard type character.
Oh yeah, the Scientologists would not have liked that. If you guys haven't seen The Master, that's something else. Yeah. Scientology, they're heavy into Hollywood, and those Hollywood stars, the Scientologists, they seem, well, inhuman. But they tend to suffer their traumas better than most.
Yeah, I wrote extensively about Scientology and Weird Stuff Part 2, going back to the beginnings of L. Ron Hubbard and how he was a student of Aleister Crowley, working hand-in-hand with Jack Parsons. Having this OTO lodge where they both lived and working these magic rituals, the Babylon working. And the funny thing about that whole story to me was that as soon as Hubbard got into the group, he stole Parsons' girlfriend right from underneath him. And this really irritated Parsons because he thought he was a god man above petty human emotions.
And Hubbard?
Yeah.
Come on.
Losing your girl to Hubbard is kind of demoralizing. embarrassing.
Yeah.
But so this is what spurred him to go after Marjorie Cameron and do this whole Babylon thing. And he needed Hubbard, and he really hated the fact that Hubbard had this occult knowledge that he needed to do this working with him.
And this was the guy who was making the rockets ready to go to the moon, you know? Yeah, it's so tied in. I was always shocked when Kathy O'Brien would talk about NASA mind control, you know, because you don't think of that one in the situation. Now, somebody was talking about Johnny Depp in the chat room, and I was just thinking about how much these poor people are really slaves. Because think of what Johnny Depp had to degrade himself to do. He had to go for a Halloween party at the Obama's White House, fully dressed as the Mad Hatter, and stay in character for the children for their Halloween party, which also included, I believe, Chewbacca and another celebrity I can't think of. It was a strange thing. And a lot of what we get now, and what we would love for the celebs to come forward to help bring the message out, is a lot of this shenanigans that are going on. I mean, when we look to what the propaganda is trying to get us to say and get us to see and feel, Barack Obama and the Obama family are there to really make you feel like a slave, like a poor person. They are supposed to be out there flagrantly just wasting their money. Barack Obama made $600 million in his campaign, along with his book sales, which, of course, he didn't write. $600 million for his campaign trail is more than all the presidents of history combined have made. And then they just throw these lavish parties. And, of course, there are all the celebs again, Beyonce, Jay-Z, again, Johnny Depp having to be in character.
Well, that just made me think, poor Beyonce. So she goes to sing the national anthem at the inauguration, and she's got all these nasty politicians staring at her butt the whole time.
That's true. You can see that in the video.
It's just, like, so crass.
Yeah, but then she had to lip sync, and then everybody cracked on her about that.
Well, what's more interesting is how they had her sing At Last My Love Was Come Along. And poor Etta James didn't even get invited, and that's her song. And she said, why can't I sing for the president? I've been doing this 50 years.
Right. And, of course, if you all know me, I have theories about why it would be Beyonce and why that whole situation and why she would sing At Last My Love Has Come. And go ahead.
Well, I was going to say the last person on my list that I could think of off the top of my head, and this list goes on and on, you can make your own and get some more details, but Peaches Geldorf, who I write about a little bit in Weird Stuff too, was involved in the OTO, and she died right in front of her children, like Anna Nicole. And now she was involved with some, I have to go back and look at my own writing because I forgot the details, but she was outing some pedophile rings.
Right.
And just dropped dead right in front of her kids.
And who was that?
Peaches Geldorf.
Oh, Geldof. Geldof, he was the one behind We Are the World. He was the character that played Pink in Pink Floyd's The Wall.
Oh, really?
That's her father.
Huh.
Yeah, and then Peaches, of course, she is openly OTO. She has it tattooed on her. And that's another thing. These messages that are slipping through. Paris Jackson.
Right. Yeah, I had her on my list of allies because we really want to make this platform for the celebrities to come out and feel like they have some people on their side to back up their story. Because when you're saying I was raped by Frankenstein, Mickey Mouse, and George Bush, who's going to believe you? Well,
now, why would they say that?
I'll believe you because they put elements in their satanic ritual abuse that are, how do you say it, like fantastical, imaginative. Like, so the abuser would wear a Frankenstein mask to while they're performing a ritual so that a child could not say that the neighbor did it to me. He would say Frankenstein did it to me. Right.
Okay. And yet we see these images. Paris Jackson, she had some.
Right. She released on Twitter a picture of a skull doing the shh symbol with the finger up to the mouth, which I explained. all the hand signs and gestures and weird stuff part 2. So if you're ever wondering where the peace sign came from, if you're wondering what the OK sign, you know, the when you put your thumb and your forefinger together with the 3 extended.
No, a lot of
and put
people
it up to
say
their
that
eye.
means 666.
Right, it doesn't. So you have to get my book, and so I outline the big 5 that they do: peace sign, the Vesica Pisces, the symbol. What else?
That's all right. A lot of people don't know that there are 9 weird stuffs planned, and I just wanted to make that known. And we have taken weird stuff off of Amazon, and it is solely sold at freemantv.com now. That way we can keep the resources and keep making bigger, better stuff for you.
Oh, the horned hands is also in there.
Right.
Deep, and also the triangle of manifestation, which everybody says, they're just the triangle of Illuminati, but you need to get my book and read what's actually going on.
It's true, because we looked across these magical books, though, the hand signs and gestures written from the 1700s, and really a hardcore scholarly study of the secret society hand signs in art and architecture around the world.
It's called The Sign Language of the Mysteries by J.S.M. Ward. That's a good one.
Yeah, it's rare. You know, I went to an occult bookstore in London, and I said, break out the stuff. I want something no one else has. Give me the stuff. And there were a ton of OTO books. There were a ton of things that came forward from their little backlog. But these hand signs and gestures, to me, seem to be the most incredible thing. Now, the worshipful master of the lodge, of Freemason Lodge in Kansas, saw that I had those books on my shelf and was jealous. But that was when you picked up Crowley and the Hidden God. And that book opened a whole new paradigm. We were talking about Russell Brand. And we've talked about a number of mind control celebrities and ritual magic going on in these situations. But that little notation that you found in the Kenneth Grant book, Crowley, is that Crowley?
Aleister Crowley and the Hidden God by Kenneth Grant. This is part of his Typhonian trilogy. It's actually the 2nd book in the trilogy.
So Typhon, and this concept of Typhon is the beast in the abyss. This is where the concept for, the beast is utilized, and the ideas of the mark of the beast. And so we immediately saw in these works that the mark of the beast, according to the magical practitioners that are using it, is the symbol that is the X-Men, the O and the X. And when we put this forward, having no idea how much that was going to blossom, how big that was going to come, because now we see it as Russell Brand's logo. We see it, Madonna doing her 33-minute sermon on the Super Bowl. She put the big OX up there. Of course, the Beast on the X-Men and just the X-Men themselves. The X-Files also has that same symbolism. Michael Jackson's new record album also being a Saturn symbolism, but also has, with the word escape, the OX in there as well. Beyonce's new song, XO, which specializes, it shows the NASA Challenger destruction in that one, and then
that came out after we said this,
right?
And she made a dance called XOXO.
Right, and then also the last one I was going to say was that Mac came out with their operating system 10, which of course had the very same mark of the beast on it. So we see this stuff, Jamie and I, right? And we honestly don't know where to go. I mean, we're blown away as much as anyone else when we witness these things, is what I really mean by that. But here we are, ahead of the game, bringing it out there, and then you guys get to reap the benefits of all of that, because you know what's going on. And again, all of this comes down to the future of friendship. All of this comes down to the fact that we need you to be a loving, caring person, to go and help lift all of these people up out of this quagmire. Because, we're looking at ISIS, we're looking at Gaza, we're looking at the situations in Ferguson, and we can see that it's time to be embroiled. I mean, that is the propaganda of the day. We had senior citizens on the corner of Greenville today that were protesting the border. And it's an amazing time to be alive. And what is happening is everything is meant to be riling everyone up. And so
And they have no outlet because they don't know exactly who to point a finger at or blame. It's like you can't worry about the border when your president's a rapist.
Right.
It kind of puts all this into perspective. You know, when you read Kathy O'Brien, you're like, well, how can I ever vote for anyone ever again when I know that they're all involved at the top in this?
Yeah. Yeah. Once you start to know this side, this layer of the situation, then the show no longer works.
Right.
And that's where we're trying to get the masses. And you can help us help you. Subscribe to freemantv.com. It's a mere $1.75 a week. And we will continue to bring you tools to share this information. Don't forget about Friendship Wednesdays. All you Friends of Freeman, Friendship Agenda members, come on over to friendshipagenda.com. If you're not a member yet, come on over. Sign up, and we're going to start to share, because this is the critical factor. Everybody's looking for an answer. They're looking for a way to lash out, because that's the way they're being programmed to act. And we are looking for a way to temper the reaction that is being caused by the propaganda and media stream. And of course, at the forefront of this propaganda is our celebrities. And they are the ones that are utilized by the nefarious dark leaders, the cryptocracy, to bring about a reaction out of us.
Well, think about this. You know, we call the celebrities stars, right? And what has been the #1 tool of navigation for humankind across the ages is the stars. And so it's in our DNA to, quote unquote, follow the stars. And so they know that if they can get their celebrities to do something, they can get everybody else in the public to do it as well. And I want to say you guys need to come out, stand up for yourselves, you know, break your chains, just say no to them, because the history of Hollywood is, you know, the history of keeping artists enslaved. You know, when they first began making movies, the studios, yeah, we could talk about that in a second after the break, but the studios actually had all their stars contracted to them, and so they couldn't go out and do their own independent project. They were the property of Columbia Pictures. They were the property of TriStar.
Let me tell you, Dan Fogler was scared to release Don Peyote. So, you know, anybody that says that he wasn't on trying to bring a message that he was being bold to do, he was absolutely scared to bring Don Peyote to you. I hope you all get a chance to check it out. I hear it's going to be in Redbox, and it is in Redbox in some areas. And I'm glad to be a part of that, and I'm glad that I have an in now. You know, we left a copy of Weird Stuff, Operation Culture Creation Part 2 for Topher Grace. And, you know, look at these kids. I mean, look at Ashton Kutcher. He is building himself a subterranean chamber to survive the end of days. He is preparing for the end of days.
There's a mass migration out of Los Angeles and California, too. It's been starting about 2 years ago. You can go online and see the list of all the celebrities and bigwigs who have sold all their property and liquidated in California and moved somewhere else.
Well, that's curious. I certainly know that the elite are going to Uruguay and Paraguay. Maybe if we could just get them all down there, we can all have a good time.
So it's time for another song right now, and when we come back, I'm going to tell you a story about the lifestyles of the rich and famous.
Things were quickly changed again. You are the one that swept me away and showed me happiness. Hold on to my heart one last time. Hold on, hold on. on to my heart. One last time. It's not tomorrow. Don't try and follow. Just spin me around and round and round. Never thought we could turn the tide and escape the coming storm. Let your hand out to me, my reach, and we'll walk safely to the shore. Hold on to my hand one last time. Hold on to my hand one last time, yeah. It's not tomorrow. Don't try and follow. Just spin me around and round and round. Let's go. Hold on to my heart one last time. It's not tomorrow. Don't try and follow. Just spin me around and round and round. It's not tomorrow. Don't try and follow. Just spin me around and round and round.
Oh yeah, and that was The End of the World. I like those guys. If you want to send your music into the show and be on the free zone, then do it. We can use MP3s. Just write me at freeman@freemantv.com. Very simple. Freeman@freemantv.com.
Or you can send your CD to our P.O. Box in Greenville, which is P.O. Box 25186, Greenville, South Carolina, 29616.
And you will find that address in the store, or now shop section of freemantv.com. And I hope you will continue to support our efforts. We want to get bigger, better, and bolder, and your subscriptions will do just that. You will keep us alive, keep us going, and allow us to get better. I am now pushing the show out through Stitcher, so if you're a Stitcher listener, it won't be live, but you can catch the rebroadcast on Stitcher as they come out. So just to let you know on that. Now, Jamie, someone had mentioned Ariana Grande in the chat room there on freemantv.com, and I have to comment about this because I talked about it, I believe, on the Rob Skiba show when I was on his show on Truth Frequency, but I don't think many people hear my extracurricular shows, so I wanted to talk about the Ariana Grande for a minute because we were talking about Ashton Kutcher, we were talking about the weirdness, we were talking about Madonna and her Kabbalistic 33-minute sermon, we were talking about, you know, Lady Gaga, blood rituals, all of this, and Ariana Grande puts out this video. Now, Lenny of the Maniac Agenda wrote me to say, have you seen this video? Well, he called. And I had a look at it. Now, Ariana Grande, she was a Nickelodeon star, right?
Nickelodeon.
Now that
That's
brings
a
us
good
back to
segue.
yeah. Let's segue to Nickelodeon. Okay, you guys know where this name came from. As you look at these children being splooged, or what did they call it?
Slime.
Slimed on that show in quite a strangely sexual manner. The Nickelodeons themselves were the spawn of Hollywood, and what this was a way for you to go and watch porn.
Well, it actually starts with the fight between Thomas Edison and Carl Laemmle. Now, Thomas Edison had created this moving picture, the first film, basically, and the Jew, Carl Laemmle, they kind of stole this technology and turned it into porn, and this is where you would go and put a nickel in and see a little peep show on film, put your eyes in the little viewer, and, it wasn't even risque as anything, but back then it sure was.
Got to see some knee.
And so these started to be called Nickelodeons, these little peep shows, and this is how they got their distribution system up. So you can make a movie, but you can't have it distributed if you're not in with the Jews in Hollywood. And if you have a problem with that, then you can go read the book called The Empire of Their Own, How the Jews Made Hollywood.
And you did.
Yeah.
You do your homework. And another so this Nickelodeon star Ariana Grande, she now has a new video out, which I suddenly lost the name of in my mind.
It's all about
free me?
Breaking free. So
Break free.
Yeah,
something.
She's freeing these people from slaves, and she's whipping chains around and killing.
Well, she begins by coming out of a spaceship, I believe, and she has a symbol on her costume, which is based on the Masonic compass and square. It has an extra square in there, so it's got actually 3, making VVV or 666, right? And she pulls this off her costume, throws it down on the ground, and stomps on it and breaks it in the first scene. And then goes to these cages where they have the humans kept and starts releasing them by killing the reptilian overlords, right? that are holding them in these cages.
Right.
And then she comes upon a dark wizard, and he's wearing the Tree of Life. And someone had mentioned Brad Pitt and the Tree of Life in the chat room, but she's wearing the Kabbalistic Tree of Life, which you can see on Freeman TV. And she yanks it off of this dark wizard and casts him down into hell, right? So he gets down into the fiery pit, and then she takes this Tree of Life and puts it in a special place on their spaceship, and now they're going intergalactic.
Yeah, very weird. And so this false rebellion, sometimes they think that they have figured it out. They think they've broken free. They think they've found their voice and cast off the shackles of their recording contracts and, coming out with their adult music. But it's all back in the game, because Britney had this same thing. She had a song called Rebellion, where she talks about people doing voodoo on her and she can't trust anybody. When she was in control of her own website, she was playing the song on loop 24/7
Really?
as a, shaking her fist at the handlers. But
Right.
then she comes out with this video, I Want to Go, where she's holding a press conference, and at the very end, Guillermo from Weeds comes out and he whispers to Britney something and shows her some seashells, and she shuts up and won't answer any more questions and goes off with her robotic demon handler. So this is a way of showing you that there's no escape.
Well, I want to say that. Then you went to Fritz Springmeier's book, How to Create Your Own Undetectable Illuminati Mind Control Slave, which is a book everyone should reference and have a look at. But this has key triggers, key signs, key symbols of what they do to utilize and to induce trauma-based mind control. And so you look up seashells, and what does it say? But everybody's listening to you.
They tell the victim that certain objects can pick up what the victim is thinking and saying and report back to the handlers, so they're always being watched at all times. Like a plant or a seashell is the biggest one.
And so that's exactly what happened in the video.
Mm-hmm.
She shows you that she's shown seashells, and then she goes off, and of course he gives these demonic red eyes.
He turns around. She can't see him, but he turns around to the audience and shows his
yeah,
eye.
Yeah, right.
You know?
So it's all there. I mean, Brittany's videos, we almost did a whole talk on all of that, just doing a chronological.
I do have a breakdown of those in that article I wrote about Katy Perry and Russell Brand.
Oh, is that Russell Brand and the Mark of the Beast article?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, so it's also got the Britney video chronicles in
Yeah,
it.
because that stuff blows my mind.
Right.
It's right there. So, yeah, let's carry on.
Well, I wanted to tell you guys a story because I really think that these rich people, these elite people, these people that think they're better than us, they really need our help, honestly.
Yeah.
They are not enjoying life. They're not enjoying creation. They're not enjoying each other. And this revelation came to me.
We went to a party where Train played,
let
right?
me say,
Yeah.
we have some dear friends who are very blessed financially, and they're also very awake, and so we have some really good times together. And one time they took us to a party of a uber rich person.
A billionaire's party, yeah.
Up in upstate Pennsylvania. And we drive up, and it's perfectly manicured. There's ponds, there's trees, there's rolling hills, there's a mansion for the kids and a mansion for the adults. And the party was being held at, like, the kids' mansion, right?
In a little cement slab.
Well, check it out. So we get there, it's freezing cold, and all of the young ladies are wearing just barely any dresses, like body-hugging dresses,
Like, what were they?
spike heels,
It was
no
freezing.
pantyhose. All their legs were goosebumps, and they were just suffering to be sexy.
Yeah.
And, I wouldn't do that. And so the party goes on, and I
The cougars
noticed...
hit on me, too.
Yeah, I noticed that every adult there is wearing black head to toe, and everyone is wearing... that's not trying to be sexy is wearing a black leather jacket. So it's like this sea of black leather jackets.
Right next to a sea of frozen burger patties, hot dogs, and all right, go ahead.
Okay. So they're not enjoying the grounds at all, the rolling hills, the falling leaves of the trees. If this was our type of party, there would be kids running around, there would be people spreading out their blankets, they would be enjoying the grass, but they all stayed on the one slab of concrete that was the patio and a little sidewalk that went somewhere else. And you had to, like, cross this, to get to the other side of the party, you had to go cross the sidewalk, but it was packed with people because they would not step on the grass. I don't know if it was their heels or whatever, but...
There was this vast landscape. I mean, like you were saying, rolling hills. And...
Yeah, and if this was normal people, we would all be singing, dancing, having a good time. There, like I said, there'd be children running around and everybody would be warm. So the food that they served at the party was just this, how hamburger patties come in, like, prepackaged circles with the paper in between them. The cheapest you could buy.
Yeah.
Billionaires.
They were the wrong color.
Yeah. I wouldn't even eat this food, and I'm broke.
Right.
And, like, the potato salad was probably give you salmonella, and it was just nasty. Hot dogs.
Yeah.
Hot dogs.
Yeah.
I wouldn't eat a hot dog if you paid me $1 billion. Maybe one hot dog. But I'm just like, you have all the money in the world, and you don't know how to enjoy life.
Yeah, they did not.
And even Train played at this gathering.
Yeah. That was kind of crazy.
So they really need us to save them from themselves and to show them that by sharing, by being awake, we can all have way more abundance than they can ever even dream of.
Yeah. It's really hard, though, because it's hard to accept those type of people. And what happens is we have to be the good guys. We have to let them be the jerks they are until they aren't. I don't mean not trying to change them. I mean that if we were to come at a rich person, they're going to think, what do we have to give to them? What can we offer them?
Well, didn't one guy actually give you $100 for your presidential campaign?
He did. Yeah. There was one billionaire there that decided he'd like to see me to be president and chipped in my only campaign contribution, $100. Yeah. But, there's a mentality there, right? This this idea that people and rich people, there are people that are celebrities simply because they're rich, you know, Paris Hilton, the Kardashians and whatnot, and they have this mentality of superiority, right? So it becomes very difficult to even break that type of bonding because we're trying to shake that mentality loose, right? We're trying to do away with a hierarchy, as you will, and get more a little bit to anarchy. And these people at the top are never going to freely let go of that branch. They're not going to ever even accept that you might be better than them. But
Well,
the
I don't
world
even
is
want to
going to...
say I'm better because I hate fan worship and I hate hero worship. And if you have a hero, you should probably never meet them because you're going to figure out they're just a regular person like you.
That's very true.
And so I don't consider myself or even Freeman as having fans, quote unquote. I just think we have a lot of friends and we're really blessed to have people who want to hear what we have to say and who relate to us because we're all this cyber tribe, you know, and it's kind of sad that we can't recognize each other on the street because I get emails all the time saying, I just wish I knew one other person to go out to lunch with and discuss conspiracies. And I bet you there is a person in town who would love to do that, but you can't recognize each other.
Well, let's talk a little bit about solutions then. You have been studying a trauma-based mind control victim of ritual abuse. And strangely, as this person put out a solutions-oriented printing, it was pretty close to everything we've been saying here.
Right. And so, yeah, this is a little pamphlet by an author named Kurth Barker, who I feature in my first show, The Book Report, which is coming out soon. It's taped, but it's not put together yet. But I outlined 2 of his books called Angelic Defenders and Demonic Abusers, and also a book about cannibalism and blood drinking and high adept Satanism. So I recommend you check that out when it's out. But he wrote a little pamphlet called Fabian Therapy for Mind Control. Now, if you know what the Fabians are, you know this is an older group who are a branch of the Illuminati. And in one of his books, he says that there are certain people within the Illuminati who are trying to reform it. You know, they don't agree with depopulation. They don't agree with satanic ritual abuse. But they do agree with that you need to have some kind of ruling class to govern the plebs.
Yeah.
And so these were people who were helping this satanic ritual abuse victim come out of his satanic ritual abuse, and they thought they were doing good for the world by being in the Illuminati. And he says, you know, it's very unlikely that a monarch slave will come out of the mind control completely on their own without help, because you have no idea what's going on in their brain. They're missing time. They're missing events. They're waking up in different clothing. They're not knowing what happened the next day or even, you know, who they are at times.
I'm sure bizarre emotions.
And so this is the kind of red flags that we need to look out for. And, you know, people in Hollywood think that maybe this is just normal erratic artistic behavior. But it takes a common person to say, hey, no, this is what it is. This is satanic ritual abuse. So he says that, you know, they can control everything about that person from pretty much from birth until they die. You know, they can even change the sexual orientation of a person with a command. So it's not like these people are born gay or born straight. They're programmed to be a gay person or a straight person or a baby or, you know.
Yeah.
But he says that the ultimate goal of monarch programming is to destroy the free will of humans, which is our God-given right. So Satanists hate everything that has to do with creation, humanity, God, goodness, light. They're just sick of the whole thing, and they want total annihilation and the end of free will. So he says that the mechanism through which all mind control operates is memory. And so these people are not having the memories that they need to put the puzzle together that they've been abused like this. So even if you walked up to someone and said, hey, I think you're a monarch, they'd be like, what are you talking about?
Right.
They have no idea.
That was always the scariest part when I was looking into this study. And David McGowan, who will be our guest next week, was one of the people I was studying for the Anna Nicole study and Program to Kill. I can't wait to talk to him. But the truth is that I got lost on where I got all excited about David McGowan. What
Free
was
will,
the last thing you just said?
memory.
Oh yeah, that the BBC had just come forward with studies showing that genetic memory is a fact. And so when you see Hollywood, you see that there are a lot of family members that are also raised up. You know, Emilio Estevez from Sheen, and just so many children. Nicolas Cage, right? And a number of children. Well, the thing is that this trauma that is done to the previous generation passes through genetic memory into the children. And we've been talking about this for a long time with the concept of the monarch. You know, that is why they call it the monarch program, because of genetic memory. A monarch it takes 3 generations to get to their mating ground, and how does the second and third generation know where to go? But genetic memory. And so they have now come out and conclusively stated, you know, science and our celebrities of that world have come forward to say that this is a reality. So we have that whole thing where the trauma is actually passed down to the next generation, so it probably makes them much even easier to program.
Yeah. So another point he brought up in the Fabian therapy for mind control was the use of command words. So getting them to disassociate and switch to an alter personality with which they can more easily control is as easy as a wink, a blink, a hand signal. You've all seen, I'm going to say Russell Brand, you know, flash that obey sign at Katie. I mean,
right,
that was really
that was
weird.
Trippy. Or when she says Mother Mary, yeah, sorry, go on.
Oh, Al
Frank.
Roker?
Yeah.
Yeah, she says Hail Mary or something like that, and he just goes into a trance.
Yeah.
Okay, so he says that the most popular command words in culture are obey. So that's the whole clothing line, right? So you see people walking around, obey, obey, obey.
They even did an Obama obey.
Right. This is a trigger for all of the people who've gone through the monarch programming. It's another.
Well, that's a big point. You know, they can't escape this. They see it everywhere they go. They know the reality of it, and they see everything as trauma, as mind control. We don't see it. We're all mind controlled just like them, but we don't see it.
Well, they don't see it either. They're just triggered by it and don't know why.
Well, they see that they can't escape, right?
Yeah, it's immersion, full frontal immersion.
Yeah.
That's why you would program someone with Disney programming, and so you would put Disney paraphernalia everywhere they go as a trigger to put them in a trance state. And how can you escape Disney? You can't even go to the post office without seeing princesses on the cards.
It's no doubt, and dollar stores.
Right.
And
so another word they use a lot is control. Another word is submit.
Now that one gets to me because every time you utilize PayPal, you have to click the buttons continue and then submit. So my brain every time registers continue to submit. Mm-hmm. Continue to submit.
Yeah, and other command words they use obviously are sex, sexual, identity, comply, owner, master, and slave. So anytime they're hearing these words, they're being triggered. And he also writes about what he calls concordance, which is how the Illuminati tries to synchronize the mind control commands that they make to its individual victims with the propaganda slogans presented to the public with mass media. So when they hear a command phrase, it evokes a conditional response, and a example he used was too big to fail. So all these congressmen and people voting on these corporations to keep them going when they're bankrupt is too big to fail. So he says that typical concordant control phrases that they use in the news and in media is the war on terror, war on drugs, post 9/11 world, politically correct, and global community.
Right.
So it's not just celebrities, it's politicians too. You gotta know that.
Sure. You mean as being mind controlled?
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, absolutely. We are totally in a full virtual reality at this point. We can believe nothing that we see. And if people are reacting to the current propaganda, then you're just following the program, the script, and being angry when you're told to be angry, monkey. You know,
So he describes some techniques that the Fabians used for his therapy, and it was very sort of a soft therapy. It wasn't going into his different personalities and pulling out traumatic memories and picking them apart. It was actually very therapeutic, being together, being friends, talking about what happened that day. He says that you need to keep a journal.
Okay, wait.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure it's clear that we're now talking about the solutions that have come forward through this trauma-based mind control victim
From the Illuminati itself.
from the Illuminati. It's being
Yeah.
rescued by the Illuminati. These are the techniques the Illuminists that were believing themselves to be good were utilizing to free this programmed slave.
Right.
And the first thing that it was
He needed to keep a daily episodic journal.
oh, I thought you said friendship.
Oh, that was the third one.
Start.
Okay, so first was journaling. Okay,
Okay,
and
I'm
this
sorry.
is Kathy O'Brien's one of her.
Access denied is all about that.
Yeah, and they said that he should keep a report of like daily activity, one dream journal, and one type of artistic expression. You know, drawing, painting, something cathartic that might bring out these memories from the subconscious, because he said that these subconscious memories are toxic to them, and they'll just kill them from the inside if they don't figure out and put the pieces of their life back together.
That's what I really think we saw in Corey Haim.
Hmm.
If you saw his pictures upon his death, he was eaten from the inside out. He was just the skeleton of a
Right.
boy.
And even if their conscious mind can't recall the memory, their subconscious mind, your brain is a wonderful masterpiece of recording information, and even if you can't bring it up to your conscious mind, it's all there. Everything that's ever happened to you has been recorded in your consciousness.
Absolutely.
So he says that when they would do memory analysis, they would actually try to distract him when these horrible memories were coming out, because they were trying to teach him to live in the moment, and that the trauma is behind you, and that you need to go on with life and find things to live for, find things to be happy about, and your repressed memories will come out in your journaling and in your personal experience, but it doesn't have to be something that you sit down face to face and say, tell me about the time they sacrificed a kitten in front of you. So
Yeah, that's kind of like using ayahuasca to try and cure depression.
Right.
You gotta that situation forces you to face your demons, and I don't think that's always the best position to take. All right, go ahead.
right. And so the third technique, which I found was really interesting, was extroversion. And so they were teaching him to be socially extroverted, and they encouraged him to find friends of varied positions in life, old, young, rich, poor, all different kinds of friends, because you have to understand that the people that are under this monarch control, their whole social milieu is controlled. Their family, their closest friends that they think have been lifelong family friends, they're in on it. And so you have to kind of get away from this circle of vipers and go out and meet some normal people like us who will help you be in the moment, let you know that not everybody is an abuser and that life is worth living.
We honestly meet a lot of trauma people, and there's been a lot of people in our lives that were not all square.
Well, look at Jay Parker. That's a good example.
Sure, Jay Parker.
Yeah.
But even just we run into these people quite a bit, and it's amazing that the good Illuminist, would then suggest that this is the cure to mind control, because we're talking about the idea of global mind control, which is what we're looking at here, and celebrities.
It's a microcosm, macrocosm, definitely. It's what they do to create a victim in a person, they're doing on a grand scale to make the entire population just like a monarch mind control slave.
Right. And so the friendship agenda is the solution. So come on and check out Friendship Wednesday. Join us on friendshipagenda.com Wednesdays, and we'll all start gathering together. We can network from there. You can forum from there. You can do all kinds of stuff there.
We're going to try and get an interactive map that everybody can tag themselves on so you can know who's around you. that thinks the same way you do. And if you have any suggestions of software or websites that do this kind of thing, I would love to hear.
Because that's what we did on the bus. When we were aboard Miss Emily, we visited all the fans that wrote us, and we just drive our big yellow school bus up to their front door. And then we would learn that they had no one to talk to. But of course, there were a dozen people there in that town waiting to meet us. And so we just got them all together. And all of a sudden, everybody was like, oh my God, you're here, you're here. And now I got a dozen people to talk to. And then Jamie and I would be on our way again, jump back in the school bus, and they would be left with this pocket of friends. So this really works, and the traveling really works, getting out of your normal situation. And this is something that you should do as well, right? You need to break your own bounds. You need to make new friends of all shapes, sizes, ages, and creeds, and start to share your world with them openly, because they'll feel that. And everybody knows now that something is wrong. And we can make the difference. So I hope you'll all join us in this friendship agenda, because honestly, I think this is our solution. So we're going to cut back to a little more music before we get into our last segment here. And all right, we'll be right back.
What is at stake is more in one small country. It is a big idea, a new world order where diverse nations whenever you come around, it's as though I see right through you to an evil that betrays your kind nature. That sense how it threatens me with every breathing beat. Whenever you come around, I'm on I'm on God. We're all whatever you think you can force on me, yet the fear of eradication will be met with the firm question why.
of green lingers like no other. I will let you down and burn into your dreams. When all else words alone will not postpone all the stage. Stone by stone we will oppose until we say, oh, God, break when all else fails.
Yeah, that was the End of the World, their CD called Out from the Ashes, and that song was called When All Else Fails.
Amazing.
So this show is for celebrities. Brittany, this show is for you. Katie, this show is for you.
Russell, we want to talk to you.
Yeah, we love you. It's all about the art, and we just want to see it get better. We want to see it used for therapy and not satanic rituals. We want to see you all healed and freed from your prison. We want to release the stars and let them shine.
Absolutely.
So,
Jamie, before we continue, there was a comment in the chat room I wanted to comment on. I had told everybody about poor Diva, and I never told them what happened afterwards. So I let it out that Diva was deathly ill, about a month ago, and a couple of people were wondering how she was doing. So I thought we should let them know that Diva is in near full recovery. It has taken forever, guys. She is still.
Still got a snot nose that sounds like a blowhole.
Yeah. But she's recovering nicely, and Diva is our little poodle that travels with us everywhere.
And she's also made some appearances on the show.
Yeah, she's definitely on the old Radio Freemans.
Yeah.
But yeah, she is doing really well, and I just wanted everybody to know that was wondering and was sharing their love. So.
Yeah. Yeah, so Russell Brand, Corey Feldman, Roseanne Barr, Sean Stone, Tila Tequila, Professor Griff, Dan Fogler, Randy Quaid, Paris Jackson. Add your name to this list, please, because we're here for you. We love you. We want to have a safe platform for you to come out of the closet of mind control.
Yeah, that's really, Jamie and I, that's our mission in life, or, it's one of them. Is this freedom from this mind control. Once we learned this situation and went through our own version of trauma, which took us through all the stages of grief that you will come across if you're suffering a death of a loved one or your own fate, your own death. You go through these stages of denial and anger, and it finally comes down to acceptance. And once you've accepted the reality that we're in, then you're not lashing back out. But now you're offering out a hand, a gesture of kindness to lift this other people up out of it. And it's once you get through these stages of grief, and this is why most people don't want to bring up conspiracy theory around their friends, because it upsets them, right? People get mad when you start talking about this stuff. But we've got to break those paradigms. But even if you don't break the conspiracy line and start spreading this stuff to your friends, you still need to go out and make friends and start to heal yourself of your own trauma and to start to feel more secure and sovereign to be able to express yourself. Mm-hmm. So then we can start to get these. So
I was just thinking, what is traumatizing to the general public about celebrities? And some things we can do to kind of free our mind of the hate that we feel for them sometimes, or the envy, like I said, on the tabloids, and feeling that they're a waste or they don't deserve life or you're glad they're dead or they're not worth talking about, because every human person, and especially artists, I mean, come on. What is the world if it's not artistic? What are we doing here?
Right. We are creators, and we create that art. Yes. I would love to see them come. I would, and someone in the chat room was talking about Roseanne, and of course we have been making inroads with Roseanne, and I'm certain that's going to happen at some point. But she's got quite a tale to tell. She did get a copy of Weird Stuff, and so hopefully we're breaking through with her. But somebody mentioned that Roseanne was definitely one. Dan Fogler coming forward, bringing this forward. And then Sean Stone. These are all very strong voices to start to touch people.
Who's that wrestler? Look how popular his show is.
Oh, Jesse Ventura?
Yeah.
You mean the governor?
Well, you could talk about chemtrails for 10 years,
Well,
and
yeah.
no one knows about it, and then he does a show, and suddenly Grandma knows about chemtrails.
That-
Look how powerful.
That is exactly right. And there's two levels to this. So Jesse Ventura can go out and put out a show that gets into HARP and chemtrails, and it reaches the masses. Us in the internet realms can make them all day long, and it won't ever click. It won't ever reach them. And I even saw a GIF or a picture online saying, "Don't bother dumping ice water on your head. Just look up." And there was chemtrails, So it's reaching into these memes.
Well, speaking of ice buckets, did you notice that poor Bill Gates didn't even have a friend to dump ice on his head?
Yeah.
He had to build his own contraption with a little rope pulley so he could pull his own ice bucket.
Well, there you go again. Richest man in the world doesn't have a friend to dump ice on him. Yeah. That's really the situation. So we sit there and we envy the rich, and we wish that we had that opportunity in our lives, but our experience has shown us that
we can do it so much better.
We can do it better, and most people that have it aren't enjoying it.
No, I mean, I just keep thinking about that party. If we had that money, it would have been a vegan paradise. Me too, but also, all the healthy, fresh. Come on, even hippies on a commune in Australia have served me $1 billion meal.
Yeah, that's true. Straight from their own garden, too. Which is another topic that we'll definitely be getting heavily into, and we'll always get heavy into, is this concept of food is free. And that's the other big one, and an easy way to start a community. If you start a little communal garden, start a plot together and work the land together, and start to produce food that is going to come in such abundance. We've seen this in a 4x4 plot. You're feeding the entire street.
Yeah, I really want to get the Food is Free guys, and if you haven't heard of them, they're started in Austin. And they just grow, and give, and, they have way too much. Can't even give away all the corn they got this year.
Now, I know these seem simple and almost hippie answers to what looks like a very complex problem, because we're being barraged with propaganda, barraged with gore and death and sacrifice, and barraged with belief systems that are in conflict at all times. And we are being guided forth by the celebrity forces as they utilize Katy Perry to get you to join the military. Demi Moore, another Kabbalist, right?
I mean, Katy Perry's costume has a ballot on it.
Says Obama.
It says Romney, Obama, whoever ran against him.
Right.
And the box Obama was checked. I mean, come on. And then she comes out with that song Part of Me where she's a soldier.
Yeah.
And that's the last thing I would ever encourage anybody to do, especially if you're a girl, to join the military. I mean, sign up, get raped, pretty much.
So this is the other level of it all, right? It starts here, starts where we're talking with the celebridom, and it goes to war. And then these soldiers return as our trauma-based victims that become our police officers that are shooting people in Ferguson. So you can see how this needs to begin at the icon. And it really needs to shift there. And seriously, you shift the icon, and the next thing you know, you don't have this trauma-based mind control cop stomping somebody's head in the ground, because that's where that comes from. And then people that are going to believe the celebrity of newscasters and believe in the ideas that are being brought forth on faux news and on Glenn Beck and all of that, and just feed into the very mechanisms of their own destruction due to the propaganda. That's the next layer, right? And we think we're getting somewhere because we're finally getting celebrities of our own, of the truther movement, into the big leagues. And I'm referring to InfoWars and Alex Jones. He's now...
Charlie Sheen? That's a good...
Well,
he's been on InfoWars.
yeah. But, you know, he's only famous because he was on InfoWars. But Alex, you know, has then now taken this to this whole level of being in the mainstream media, and his whole purpose is to be a celebrity that is talking about what we want talked about. That is why Alex Jones is paid by his listeners, by his sponsors, and, you know, is because he has now become a celebrity. And so people want a celebrity that's going to say what they need heard, that they want to see people. So Alex Jones's biggest broadcast in his latest InfoWars studio, which just was, I mean, it blew Glenn Beck's studio away. It's this InfoWars, it's an amazing studio. He's talking about chemtrails, right? Like, I mean, this is 2014. In 2006, I couldn't get the Weather Wars guys, Scott Stevens, to even talk about chemtrails anymore. Everybody was sick of it. But this, again, is the power of celebridom on another level. And this is where we're trying to get and try to get this message out to. And we can make it. We can get to these connections. We can get in. We've, you know... Yeah, I'm excited.
Another thing I wanted to mention was that we want to work with you guys too. So, you know, we want to write screenplays, we want to make music, we want to do all this stuff in a way that gets the message out. You know, putting your experience into art is the only way to get people to understand what you've been through.
Right. Beautiful message. Yeah.
Protesting, yeah, someone was talking about that in the chat room, and I mean, like, they send people to Ferguson to get tear gas.
From InfoWars to go out there. And
you want to catch me dead at a protest. That's why, because I'd be dead.
Right.
I mean...
But that is another celebrity worship, right? Or I think it has a lot to do with the fact that we want to be part of the history.
Yeah.
And so people like that, and myself, I did it. I went and stood in front of the stupid riot squads, and...
But yeah, I guess we stopped in at the occupies, but we didn't occupy.
No, we laughed at the occupiers. We scolded the occupiers. We scorned the occupiers.
No, we loved them. They were interesting, if not...
but doing it all wrong. Doing it all wrong. You know, and that's the thing, guys, is we need to do it right. And that means you and me and the celebrities that we hope are listening.
If you want a real Occupy movement, stop paying rent. And
that's
people
right.
Are you occupy your space that you're in, because we all need one. You can't sleep in the park. I'm sorry, you can't live in there. Like...
We're living, you know, this is a whole nother show, but we're living in a world where there's more empty homes than homeless.
6 times more.
And this is just ridiculous.
And on top of that, they found out that it's cheaper to give away homes than it is to support homeless people. It's cheaper to give them a house.
Right.
And let them deal with it.
Right. And then all of us could be living in a, you know, we would love to start a hashtag no rent campaign.
No more rent.
And really, you know, because we could have...
Because who is benefiting from this? I mean, I've heard both sides. Landlords hate tenants and tenants hate landlords.
Yeah.
So.
And then we're giving all our energy, all our power over to these guys. And instead, we could be raising everything, raising ourselves. And for what? For this thing that's just falling into the ground that no one's taking the money you're giving them to turn around and fix, you know?
All our rent goes to our landlord's rent, who pays the big bank a bigger check for his mortgage because his house is bigger, and then the bank gets bigger, and then they spend it on hookers and coke. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, if we're really looking for solutions, guys, you know, standing out on the street corner yelling about it, or going out in front of riot squads getting shot, or going and challenging cops to beat your head in, these are not the solutions. These are actually the problems, and they are created. This whole mentality has been created so that this would be your reaction to the situations. And so, as simple as our answers are, they work, and we have shown them to work, and we have just challenged this situation over and over again. But if we really want to make a stand, if you're ready, then it really does start right there with not paying rent, not paying taxes. I mean, total anarchy. It does. You occupy your sovereign space. Like, this is mine. Anyone, you know, we just go pick a house. Everybody has, there's plenty. It doesn't matter. There's any shape, size that you want. Not everybody wants a friggin' mansion.
If anyone occupied their own space, they would be a castle, even if it was an apartment shanty. Like, it would be the best, you know, hobbit hole you've ever seen. If it was theirs, they wouldn't treat it like dirt.
Right.
Like a lot of renters do.
Right. You'd be applying to it.
I mean, I rent houses.
Creating.
I know how the people before me treated it when I moved in, and it wasn't very nice. And landlords are lucky when they get me, because I like houses more than landlords.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, I would love to see images going up, hashtag no rent, and like, I could have had a jacuzzi this month. I could have had a new guitar this month. Or I could have added a deck on my backyard, you know. I could have added some landscaping and gardening. Anyway, you know, we're ready, guys. We're ready to be sovereign. We really are. Let's do it. Let's start growing our food. Let's stop paying these thieves. Let's just start living like we want to see the world live. But you can't do it alone, you see. So we need to start with a friendship agenda. We need to know that the others are out there. We got to be able to network with one another. And even with our greatest attributes in the 21st century, the global communication and crowdfunding, these two things can lift us up. And it's an amazing time for us because we can actually do this type of global communication with crowdfunding and lift each other up into the situations, and we can network and combine and connect. This is our greatest power, and we need to utilize it.
It's either that or go get a law degree.
That's true. You know,
meanwhile, Michigan is losing its right to farm and keep bees and grow gardens. You know, this is Agenda 21. This is the end of it. If you can't even grow a tomato, you're done with. And if you don't own a gun and you can't grow a vegetable, you might as well just go to FEMA camp.
Right. And that was something that we didn't mention in our Gaza show that I wanted to. In the end, when after all the protest, the lost family members, the shot out eyeballs, the CS gas that they went through trying to blockade that wall in Gaza, it was the court case that ended the whole situation. All that suffering, all of the strife, all of the loss was completely irrelevant, did not need to occur. What happened was the court case.
Yep.
And it's true, it's their magic spell. And really, seriously, I mean, if we were serious, we'd go get a law degree, but man, I'm too old for that now.
It costs too. I mean, there's a lot of obstacles. If you're young, I would recommend. Like, that's the fastest way to change the world we live in right now. If you're not ready to go complete anarchist,
right,
then you better become a lawyer.
Yeah.
Because that's how things get done.
It's absolutely the truth.
And I think we would need more good lawyers, you know.
Oh. Well, yeah. But it's like a pit you can't get out of, though, you know. But that's a whole nother show. I want to thank you all. I'm not cutting us off yet, but I wanted to remind you that the Free Zone is now on Stitcher. And so if you're up on Stitcher, go ahead and stream it from there. Link it in. Give me some stars. Let everybody know. The link is right there on freemantv.com. It says the Free Zone is on Stitcher. And you can just click there. Please subscribe. We're going to give you all kinds of stuff in that members section. And this also will keep all the stuff we want to give away for free. We want to build Conspiracy Kids. We want to build a section and a website where children can learn on their level these type of propaganda techniques, because that's the other level, is our children in the education system, which is a whole nother show. But we want to do this for you and for the world, and we need your support to keep it going. And so thank you, those are all supporting us. Thank you for all the donations that have come in just recently, and we really want to just lift this thing up. And so the next thing is Conspiracy Kids. I want to build that. Conspiracy Science Theater will be something that's going to go more out into the mainstream weirdness, because you see how weird TV is today. I'm going to kind of match that. And also we're going to just take this to a whole new level, broadcasting and getting this friendship agenda, celebrity star, release the stars situation going on.
I would love to see a little campaign, you know, how everybody changes their Facebook profile picture into something for a day or something. If we made a release the stars art, something little that they could put, and then people would be like, what does that mean? And they're like, well, it's about monarch mind control. Let me tell you for 5 minutes what's going on in the world. And even if they don't believe you, you just got to do your bit, you know?
Well, what we'll do for that is we'll build you a platform. We'll make the catchy videos. We'll make the nice articles that you can then share, so that you have the tools you need to share this information. And currently, Weird Stuff is that for us, for you. It is a tool we developed for you to share this information easily with your friends.
Right.
And I think that's critical right now. And that's what we...
And I've put it in such a way that, you know, you can read one article and pretty much know the gist of the entire thing in a believable way, in a provable way, in a referenced way, in a cross-referenced way. And, you know, if someone says, what's a monarch, you hand them my chapter on trauma-based mind control and give them 20 minutes, they'll know exactly what that is.
Yeah, absolutely. It's an excellent tool, Jamie, and everybody's blown away by what came out of your head. So great job, guys. Check out Weird Stuff. You know you're gonna love it. You know you can use it. There's just so much to do, and I think we can do it, guys. I still have a positive aspect.
Someone says, let's go to the root of this situation, which is not about 3D action.
Well, we have 3 minutes left.
I know.
Way beyond, but that's true, and we've discussed that quite a bit.
And so let's imagine a better world. Let's imagine what you want to do when you wake up in the morning. Would you rather wake up with an alarm and get in the car and rush off to the office, or would you rather, you know, sleep till you woke up and go tend your veggies and swim in your pool and play with your children?
So until next time, imagine that you are the future of friendship in the world. And I want to see you all here next weekend for the Free Zone as we return with David McGowan. And it is going to be Satanic Ritual Murder Celebrities. We're going to get deep into this one, so you don't want to miss out. Come over Saturday nights, 8 p.m., freemantv.com, and we'll keep this going. And we're going to turn this into a wonderful life.
Bye, everybody.
Do you have another tune?
I guess so. This is random.
We might as well just rock you out one more time on the way out the door. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for everything that you're doing. I hear your messages. I see you all the time, and I can't believe how many of you I know personally. And this is just great. Let's keep it going, and we will see you all next week for a fantastic show.
Every second, every minute, every hour I lie awake every night and wonder why. Every day of the week through the year, it seems to me that all these things I've come to love only live to die. It's time. It's time passes by. Never had it all. Is it possible to see the forest full of trees before technology pollutes our mind with the reality where we can't do anything? But the truth is they're afraid to let us see. Now we control everything, so they weave a web to trap us in alive. As time passes by, yeah, we rise and fall. You can never have it all. It's time to choose our sides. We get to take. We are our own worst mistake. Divide and on the heart, hold the sunder, hold the sunder. Close your eyes when the world rise and fall. You can never have it all. It's time to our side. We get to take. We are our own worst mistake. Divide and control. We rise and fall. You can never have it all. It's time to choose your side.